So I suppose we start here with the Marquis of Bute, who actually we have Bute on the name from him. When he established his coal and iron trade, he established the canal which went from Merthyr to the coast. As you know, it passed through Bute. That instigated the industrial revolution in this area. Populations were needed, and we have a thriving and growing industry, which was obviously the coal trade. So Marquis of Bute, obviously the first Marquis, he initiated all of this. Then it was his grandson, the second Marquis of Bute, John Crichton Stewart, who actually established the docks and made this area obviously a very busy area with industry and with peoples. We have obviously many ships coming in from across the world to export and import to goods. This is where the story of, I suppose, Tiger Bay begins, with the many immigrants that came into this area of Cardiff. Now, we have the Irish who actually built the canal. Then we have obviously local labourers and people from England being brought in to actually run the docks. Then we have when the ships are actually leaving the port and coming back into port, we have two phases. What was the origins of the local multicultural community in Bute? It's a very proud community, and has a very rich background from people from across the world. Everybody who came here were looking for work or for a better life. Many of them stayed and settled, and obviously we have their families, 5 generations of people living in Bute who trace their roots back to some far-flung part of the world. We then have, into the 20th century, a backdrop of where communities now are struggling to live with each other. I suppose competition has become a little bit more fierce for just working and surviving in Cardiff. This is what happens when we then have outbreaks of conflict and disputes. We had the 1911 seaman's strike, which involved, I suppose, the Chinese community of Bute at the time. Obviously violence committed against their properties and their businesses. Just as an offshoot of the dispute, it wasn't to do with them as a particular people, it was just to do with their part in that dispute. Then we have the 1919, I suppose they're seen as the race riots of Cardiff and at the top of Bute Street. I suppose the closest thing which we have as an explanation is, over the years of World War I, once that had finished, the soldiers who had come back had found a place which wasn't the place they had left it. Obviously in that time, people had become a little bit more accustomed to seeing many people of different colours. There was obviously a mixing between the local population, the white population, and the immigrant men. And I suppose adding to that then competition for jobs creates an atmosphere of sometimes dislike or distrust. So we have that riot there. And I suppose, the story of the early 20th century going up into the 30s and obviously up into the 1940s is one of it's a conflict eras. You have World War II, you have the Depression, you have in the 1930s there's a lot of things happening which are causing people unrest of mind. Difficult living conditions. What I suppose the context of that is for Bute is that's where Tiger Bay got its great spirit from. Then from the 1950s on, I suppose, is the last roar of the Tiger Bay. We have well-known names which are obviously known in local Cardiff history: Tommy Letton, Billy Boston, Shirley Bassey, Vic Parker. There's many people who actually became known from being in this area to outside for their good works. We have Joe Erskine, British boxing champion. So there's people who we can look to in this area and hold up in high regard for what they achieved and their influence on local people at the time from being in this area. And then we have the decline of the docks, I suppose, with the shipping and our port declining in business. Cardiff Docks was left to run down. And West Bute Dock, which was opened by the second Marquis of Bute in the 1840s, it was actually closed in 1964. there's been, I suppose, important battles throughout the different generations they've all had to face individually, you know, of their time. And for my time, I think it's about a time of now showing people opportunity, let them understand who they are, their history, and what Wales history has as part of it, and you know, making just a positive culture in Cardiff and Wales.